Zoning Board of Appeals is now in session. We have 2 items on the agenda. Public hearing, Scannell, Project Bluebird, applicant is applying for an area variance of 195-13A, height restrictions. No building or structure shall exceed in the building height the number of feet permitted as a maximum on the schedule of district regulations for the districts where such building or structure is located. Zoning district regulations are the MC mixed commercial zone restrict building height to a maximum of 65 feet. Got to do a little business here. For the record, Orange County Department of Planning, their comments. The Planning Department has reviewed the submitted material regarding the appeal for an area variance. While the Zoning Board of Appeals must weigh the local issues and balancing the needs of the appellant with the potential impacts on the surrounding area, it does not appear that intermunicipal or county-wide impacts would result if the board finds that granting relief is warranted in this area. We received a number of letters and comments, which I'll turn over to the stenographer. Also, want everybody to understand that this is a zoning board of appeals, okay? We're a quasi-judicial body. We're something like on a court. And what we're here for tonight is to decide by the criteria that's laid down. Matter of fact, we put out 25 copies of it. That's the criteria that will guide us to make a decision. Okay? And I got to be very honest with you. This has nothing to do, and I know there's people out there about union employment. People against Amazon because they're anti-union. An area benefit for towns, surrounding towns, Middletown. To be honest with you, we're concerned about town of Wawayanda and what's happening here. Okay? Also, political statements. I won't tolerate any outbursts, any anger, because if you're not going to be civil, I'll have you removed. Okay? Who's presenting?
Mr. Chairman, good evening, members of the board. Matt Boone with Scannell Properties, here to present Project Bluebird. From the last time that I was here a month ago to now, I just want to give an update. Last night we did receive our negative declaration from the planning board that deemed that this project does not have any significant impacts. Part of that was the height of this facility was analyzed in that, and the planning board determined that there was no significant impact. We also undertook the balloon study to show the height of the building for people in the community. That also validated our photo simulations. So again, this site is an existing active sand and gravel mine, which we're looking to redevelop into an industrial facility. So part of the balancing test that we're looking at for this height variance, there's 4 main items that we're looking at. The height of the proposed building will not have a significant adverse impact on the character of the neighborhood or the nearby properties. It is in the commercial and industrial zoning district. It's in between an interstate and a highway, and it's consistent with other developments in this area. Mainly Project Liberty, which is right next door, which has been conditionally approved, and we plan on starting construction middle to late summer. There is no feasible alternative to the taller building that meets the user's goal, because then it would be 1 story, 3 million square feet, and it's not a viable solution. Because the height of the building will not cause any significant adverse impacts and is in, again, the commercial industrial zoning district where there's already a similar development, the requested building height was not substantial. And then granting the requested building height variance will have no adverse effects on physical or environmental conditions, as we discussed, that the negative declaration was issued and the planning board determined that there would be no significant environmental, physical impacts. And then this would be a smaller footprint than the previously entitled 925,000 square foot building. And then the increased height would not result in a negative environmental impact. So, again, on the right side of the screen would be Project Liberty. So, again, the character, this is already conditionally approved. We do plan on starting construction this summer. And as you can see from this, on the right side here, this would be the Project Liberty, and the distance would be Project Bluebird. And again, the distance away from the roadway results in not a significant impact because it's so far away from your eyesight.
Let me interrupt you. Part of the criteria, the area variance. The first one is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance. Now, it's my understanding that they're going to be granting of this variance would enable you to have 250 trucks, tractor trailers come in per day, correct?
Well, this facility is actually less traffic than our previously.
We don't care about the 900,000. We're talking about this request, okay?
Yes.
We're talking about, because that's the numbers you gave me regarding 250, okay?
Yes.
You're talking 2 shift changes, 300 and some people per shift, correct? You don't think that that's not gonna change the area?
We are also proposing significant DOT improvements.
Yeah, but the thing is that what people are afraid of, okay? Those shift changes, they're not gonna be on routes, they're gonna be on Route 6, okay? They might be on 84 and 17, but they're gonna be coming through all the neighborhoods in this township.
Trucks would be
Not the
specifically
trucks, I'm
on,
not talking about the trucks, I'm talking about the employees.
right, the majority of them would be on State Road 6, 17M, and I-84.
Let me tell you what's gonna happen, you're gonna look for shortcuts.
Yep.
And they're gonna be, no comments, please. They're gonna be looking for shortcuts, and they're gonna be whizzing down my road, okay? They're gonna go from Lower Road right down, to Bridgebury Road to that place, okay? So, what I want to know from you, tell me how that is not an environmental impact.
So this has been studied by both DOT and the planning board, and it was determined that it's not a
I'm very,
significant.
but you have a separate board here. You gotta convince us. I'm not relying on, DOT.
So with the traffic, again, we're here for the height variance, and the traffic is unrelated.
I understand it, no. You opened the door when you talked about a balancing act, okay? Once you request a variance, you gotta take everything into consideration, everything. And we're gonna stick by the height. We could talk about the height too. We have a 65 height requirement, okay, and this is gonna be 103. I seen the balloons. I think they're high. I think, what is happening, I don't know what other people think, and I don't know what other board members feel. I went out and took a look. It's high, okay? I'll stop you as the time goes on, but there is really no question, and what we can talk about is, which you talked about in your cover letter regarding the balancing act. The New York State Town Law 267B, parens 3, parens B, requires the ZBA to undertake a balancing test that considers the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted as weighted against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of neighborhood or community by such grant.
Helping Platt, I'm with White and Osterman, Hannah, representing Skinnell as the applicant. The balancing test is focusing on if the variance is granted.
Pardon?
If the variance is granted, the balancing test is focused on what would be the detriment to the community of the height of the building. And we acknowledge that there is visibility related to the height, but we feel like we've demonstrated that that visibility is not significant, and the planning board, which was conducting the full environmental review of the project under seeker, determined that there would be no significant adverse impact. The detriment to the applicant, or the benefit to the applicant of the granting of a variance, of the height variance, is that Skinnell would have a viable project. Because without the height variance, you don't have a viable project. So that's the balancing that needs to occur under New York State Town Law.
Well, I was told a little bit something different at the informal, because they talked about, and I have it here, about monetary benefit for the town, okay? Wasn't that what you said last time?
There, in addition to the benefits to the applicant, we believe that there'll be benefits to the community from the having a viable project that's allowed to move forward. But that's not, you're right, that's not strictly part of the balancing test.
So what benefit is a town receiving if we granted this?
For that issue, I'll turn the mic back to Matt.
Yeah, the benefit to the town, as Paul said, is a viable project that is a massive investment into the town, taxes, jobs. The other part that we had discussed last night is that Skinnell will commit to work with the town of Wawayanda to provide an ambulatory service building.
You said increase in taxes, correct?
Yes.
And how much is that?
There's a pilot schedule that originally came out. I believe that there's going to be a deviation because the town supervisor is working with the IDA, so I don't know what that is right now, but there will be a deviation.
Do you want me to tell you what the first year would be paid?
I understand even without a pilot, the millage rate for the town itself is very low, so that's the basis.
Well, that's been reassessed if you're talking about the farmland and the quarry, okay? But you had another choice. You could have done a 485B, okay, under the finance law, okay, which you chose not to do. But let me, if you had chosen that, okay, the taxes, the overall taxes in the first year, the first 10 years, it would have been $65 million, okay? But under the pilot, you'd only pay, you went after the pilot. you pay 3 million total taxes. Okay, 10 years. You pay 10 million in 20 years. But you wanna know what really got me to, when I took a look at this? The town taxes for the first year, $651.73.
Mr. Chairman, currently it's $25.
Well,
And
no,
again,
it's
it goes,
not.
the
No,
millage rate.
No, it's not, because it's been reassessed, and if you want me to give you I'll give you the facts on that.
And again, that is the reason for us to working with the town to provide that ambulatory service building for the recent ambulatory district that currently doesn't have a home, and I believe it operates out of a parks department. So we're trying to make the town whole, even though that the existing millage rate, I mean, if you look at what the school is compared to the town itself, it's very low. And the highway department, as well as the ambulatory service, are exempt from a pilot. So under the pilot, the pilot that came out, the 20-year pilot, over 20 years, the highway was gonna get around $9 million, and the ambulatory service would get $3 million. Again, the town supervisor is negotiating with the IDA. And I'm not a party to the IDA process, that's user-driven, because it's based on jobs.
We'll go through a couple of these, the area grants. The second one is whether the benefit can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. No, that's not the same. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. Do you think it's substantial, the request?
I do not, and again, because the building is so far away from both McBride and State Road 6, the difference in your eyesight at 1,000 feet away from 65 to the 100 is 2 degrees. So it's not like it's right up against the road where you look up and you're looking straight up at a building. It's very far away, so it's ideally located.
Do you feel that those 250 tractor trailers coming in and out and the change of shifts will not adversely affect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
We do not, and that is because we are providing significant improvements. We've done an air quality study as part of our planning board secret determination, and all of that was shown to not be a significant impact.
Go ahead, proceed.
That's all I have for the presentation.
Any questions for the board?
Yeah, I have a question. Going back to the trucks, you say 250. Is that just bringing deliveries in, or is that in and out?
It would be 250 trucks in over a 24-hour period, spread out, so it's not like a wave where 100 come in an hour. It's
Yeah, but you
evenly
say
distributed.
250. So you bring in 250 in, something has to go out. So how many coming back out?
The same amount.
So you're not talking 250, you're talking 500 or more.
So actual trucks would be 250, so it'd be 250 in.
250 are coming in, 250 are going out. We have 500.
Right.
Now, what about the shifts? What are the shifts? How many shifts? This is a 24-hour.
So there's 2 shifts. The first shift is staggered into 2 waves. So arriving for the first shift starts at 7, and then the second half of the first shift starts at 7:30. The peak of the network is 7:30 to 8:30, so this is before everybody else is on the roadway. And then when those people are leaving, it's gonna be 5:30 to 6. The peak of the network is 4:30 to 5. So again, they're going to be leaving after the peak of the network when everybody's on the roadways.
What about the other period? If it's a 24-hour operation, which means
Then it's, so the next shifts end at like 4 and 4:30, and then nobody comes in. There's a 4-hour period where they do maintenance.
So these shifts are 12-hour shifts?
10-hour shifts.
10-hour
So you got
shifts.
2 10-hour shifts, 20 hours, and then the other 4 hours of the day are for maintenance of all the conveyors and equipment and robots.
Are you saying the height is, you know, you need this height? What for? Why do you have to?
To be able to meet the operational needs of the user. If not, then we'd have a 3 million square foot footprint. This facility, for the elevated portions, it's not a very high floor to ceiling. So on the elevated floors, you only have 10 foot 4 inches. In order to meet the capacity of this facility is the need for the height. And the actual zoning code looks at the peak elevation of the roof, which is 94 feet, 2.5 inches. And then the top is the stair tower. So to get to the roof, this stair tower is higher than the peak of the roof at 103 feet, 6 inches. So the vast majority of the actual building for purposes of the zoning code is 94 feet, 2.5 inches.
And you're saying this has no impact on, you know, on the looks of the area? I mean, from the Rise Road, it's pretty close to that.
It's 1,000 feet away. So I mean, 1,000 feet away is, again, the difference between, if you're looking at your eyesight from 65 to 100 feet, that's 2 degrees.
I mean, it's still visible. I mean, you have balloons there, but a balloon is here or there. It really doesn't show everybody the full effect of a 100-foot wall. So how can you distinguish if I put up balloons that, but, you know, it's not really gonna distort anything?
Well, to see the building alone is not a significant impact. You're gonna be able to see it, it's just, is it in your face because it's very close to the roadway? And again, you know, from State Road 6 to the edge of this road is 1,000 feet. From McBride Road to the edge of this building is 1,000 feet. So it's very far away, and that's why it's not a significant impact, because it's so far away that even the 30 feet above this is 2 degrees of eyesight.
Yeah, but compared to the landscape and the trees, that's sort of gonna throw everything off.
With that, I mean, there's a lot of existing vegetation, so in our photo simulations, you know, all these trees block it. So again, this is an existing mine, so it's lower in elevation than I-84, and then our State Road 6 over here, so it's actually, you know, almost below grade compared to the roadway.
Block it during spring, summer. What happens in the winter when there's no vegetation?
So our photo simulations actually are winter conditions. So these are proposed evergreens, but
Go forward, please.
this would be from McBride Road. So you can see it, but again, just being able to see it is not a significant impact. And you can see from how far away it is, it doesn't look like a 100-foot tall building if you were, you know, 50 feet away or 100 feet away.
Is that the 5-year one?
So this would be 10 years of planting, 5 years of planting, time of planting. This is what it looks like now. Time of planting, 5 years of planting, 10 years of planting. This is McBride Road. As you go up north, you can see this little space, red dot here. This is worst case scenario with, as you said, leaves are off, and it's still blocking the building. This is from I-84. This is from I-84, and you can see that you're looking down because this is below grade, so it doesn't stick out like 100 feet because of the location that we have with this existing mine.
How was on 84 that they got balloons? Balloons were higher than where I was sitting on the road.
The top, I mean, if you look at this, yes, the roof is above your eyesight, but you're looking down at the finished floor.
But yeah, but you still, you're riding on the road, you're not gonna pull over to the edge and look down.
But again, the people on 84 are not, town residents.
I don't know about that.
And as soon as you pass this, then you're gonna see the power plant. So this is a commercial industrial zone. So again, for character, we're going to have an 850,000 square foot industrial building right directly to the east of this. So it fits into that character. It's gonna be the same type of building, only a little taller.
Going to the tax part, going for the pilot. Why is it, okay for whoever is coming, your tenant or yourself that's building it, to have a tax break where everybody else in the town has to pay full taxes every day, every year? How is it gonna make the residents' life any better? When you're getting a break, they're not.
The purpose of the pilot is to attract investment. So this investment is gonna be in the magnitude of over $600 million. So the investment then leads to jobs, it leads to taxable revenue. So the purpose of the pilot is somebody comes in, they invest hundreds of millions of dollars, and then the taxes ramp up to full taxation.
With the pilot, it's gonna take, what, 20 years before you get to a so-called full?
That was, and that was the first version of the IDA. Again, the town supervisor is negotiating with the IDA to make something more favorable for all parties.
Dan, do you have anything?
You talked about the balloons. What's the purpose of the balloons?
It was to validate those photo simulations that I just showed you, so.
And was it to show the outline of the building, or what,
Yeah,
the
so-
height of the
Yeah,
building
it's
is going to be?
showing the height. So if we look at the simulation, you can see that height. If you come over here to the actual balloons, the purpose of doing this is to validate that these photo simulations are indeed correct. So it's not that we're putting in a photo simulation that doesn't show the actual height and, artificially makes it look lower.
And how accurate were those balloons? I
So
mean,
we had a surveyor go out, get the existing elevation of that corner, and then we know what based on the finished floor of the building and the height, then, the length of the balloon is based on what it is today and how high that needs to be to meet the actual height that we're showing on plans.
that you're looking for approval.
Right. So again, from far, it's, you see the balloons in the distance, and then the purpose of that is to validate that these photo simulations are indeed correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Honorani brought up a good point about the local roads around here. It's, we know it's gonna get busy, and our local roads aren't gonna be able to carry that kind of volume. And I know we live close to each other, and if he's worried about his road double, tripling the volume on that, my road is a more busier road, going from Laurel Road to Ridgebury Road. And on that road, you have a daycare center, nice sized daycare, a lot of cars coming in and out of there. That's gonna be a problem there. And yet these people are, I'm running late for work, so they step on it a little bit more, and they're gonna be flying up over my hill. And a couple things, to have that kind of volume on my hill. is, I'm not looking forward to that at all. And second of all, those roads out there, out in the country area, they're not gonna handle that kind of volume. What do we do about that?
Well, again, the majority of traffic is gonna be coming from I-84 to 17M to State Road 6.
I'm talking about more of the employees. They're gonna be looking for shortcuts. They're not gonna wanna get behind tractor trailers and everything. We're looking for shortcuts to get, and that is somewhat perhaps a shortcut. And, it's just, you know, with this kind of people employed at the plant, it's gonna be a nightmare in the morning time too. I mean, I can go out there at 7 o'clock in the morning, I could probably sit there and I'll be counting the vehicles going up over the hill. And I'll probably be standing there telling everybody to slow down. Okay? I'm not looking forward to that. And also, the daycare center, which is at the foot of the hill, that's gonna be a nightmare for them to come out. People coming in, they drop off the kids, they wanna get to work. Uh-oh, look at it, we got 20 cars coming down the road. I don't see where it's gonna benefit us at all. And safety-wise, we have school buses in the morning time. There's the double pickup. You got elementary kids a little bit later than high school kids. And that's still in that time zone right there. And to see a school bus stop to get the kids, and then next thing you know, you've got 5, 10, 15 cars in back of them. People saying, I gotta get to work. I see it as a nightmare coming kind of road. At least over my road, Mr. Ronnie's road, and the other 3 roads that are run parallel with that. And the town will be working quite a bit to keep up on these roads.
I'll open it up to the public. Any questions, any comments? I want to remind everybody, I gave everybody a reminder that we're going to ask questions regarding the height and the area variance criteria. We have distributed those criteria out there. Please stick to those, what you're talking about. And people, by the way, you got 3 minutes, and, you know, no repeat customers.
One second to get a few chairs out, so it's not just something to see.
So,
They're putting some chairs out.
okay.
I just want to give a few minutes, so if you could, please, just put a few more chairs out. Just so everybody can see clearly. Because Kari's gonna, I don't want her to have any difficulty hearing. Sure. Appreciate that. And I did turn the AC down a little bit to cool it off a little bit in here.
Anybody needs a chair?
There's another chair here up in the front if somebody needs another seat. You can turn there's another fan back there right by you, you can turn it on. There's another fan right behind you, sir, you can turn that fan on.
Feel free.
Right behind you. This one will be? Oh, on here?
Everybody set. First speaker, Herinder Cower, Parsons Way. And when you come up, please State your name and where you live, okay?
Hello everyone, my name is Harinder. I live in Slate Hill, 8 Parkland Way. I have been living in Wawayanda Township for 13 years. I am in actually favor of the proposed Amazon warehouse because I believe it will create job opportunities and help the taxes as well, which is good for our community. As someone who has owned retail businesses here for many years, like we do, so I have seen many young people graduating from our local school struggle for find job nearby. Talking to their parents, I have learned that the lack of the work options, they have often lead families to move to other states or cities in search of better opportunities. It's really important for our youth to have good job options right here in their own town. This way they can stay in their hometown, build their lives here. Amazon offers well-paying jobs along with the various opportunities in different fields, such as technology. I have been noticed some young people are finding working in delivery services as they start their work, starting off as their job. There are actually right now 500 trucks comes through this road. Because if you guys want to see, if you sit on the hometown daily, we own hometown daily, so we notice how many trucks come and pass by every day right now. So I think when the warehouse is gonna be here, it's gonna be less trucks gonna be passed by here. So I believe that everyone in this meeting understands positive outlook regarding what the job opportunities, and we have inspired for our community to grow. Thank you for taking time to listen to me. While there are any other additional positive impacts to consider, well, we can go to Amazon in our area, but I just wanted to share this simple points regarding what the warehouse. Thank you.
Well, let's stick to the area variance criteria, please. Next person, Julie Patterson, Kirbytown Road.
Good evening, my name is Julie Patterson. I live at 82 Kirbytown Road. I oppose the height variance. The magnitude of this warehouse is not in the character of our town. It also brings too much truck traffic, health, and safety issues. I would agree with you on the shortcuts. I live on Kirbytown Road, off Route 6, and I can feel it now. Do the right thing and make a decision tonight and vote no. Thank you.
Next one, Fern Lex, Kirbytown Road.
Good evening. I'm opposed to the project simply due to the height variance. I don't think anybody has ever come to this board and asked for such a drastic variance. I think it's out of character of the town and the county. And I don't think that Amazon really contributes any benefits to their workers or the towns. And what they have a history of is abandoning their projects after their technology is finished with. They just move on. So just be prepared for another empty warehouse that's going to cost us. And it's going to cost us in our roads, which are already congested. And it's going to cost us in all our taxes. We are going to bear the burden. I'd appreciate it if you look at this cautiously and vote no. Thank you.
Joseph Figueroa is,
My handwriting's not the best.
I know.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Joe Finner, and I live on McManus Road. I'm a local real estate developer and landlord in the area. You might know of me. I'm against zoning variance. I'm a firm believer. Look, when Skinnell or Amazon acquired this property, they knew what the rules were when they initially acquired it. It said whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. They knew they couldn't put this up that height, but yet they still designed a building to be, we're not talking about 5 feet higher. You know, a variance is for if a homeowner wants to build a house and maybe there are a couple hundred square feet on the lot, or an emergency that the town has, or a builder, or a logistic emergency, not going from 65 to 105 square feet. They're not even close. A variance is for something, and it's not going to affect the community, the quality of life. You can see the overwhelming support that the residents of Wawayanda don't want this to happen. Another thing is the stress on the roads you guys were talking about. I understand that too. I don't even know, what about if there's a fire in the warehouse? Do we have the fire trucks to go up to 105 feet? I don't know. Is that going to be an issue? Richard, you mentioned if they're only paying $651 in taxes, how does that give back to the community? Is the carbon footprint that they're going to put out on the roads, the fire department, ambulance, if people get hurt, are we even going to break even on that? I'm not sure. Are we going to have to hire more people in the DPW to hire the roads? $651 might take care of 2 or 3 potholes. That's about it. After you factor in wages and workman's comp and the cost of material. So if Amazon really wants to do this, I'm not sure why, or Skinnell, I'm not sure why they went for the pilot. It was a spit in the face, and as far as the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties, it will. Your roads will be worse, and you'll have to hire more people, and we'll have to raise our taxes due to that. Another thing I wanted to point out was, I have my notes here, give me 1 second. As far as Amazon coming in, there's no emergency for Amazon to come here. I already get my packages in 1 day. I'm not sure how else you want to ask it. It's one thing if we lived in a very desolate area and we needed that logistics to get our supplies faster, but that's not the case. And those are the things I think we should take the variances for. Thank you.
Charles, K-A-H-G-G.
Hi, good evening. I'm Charles, everyone, Town Road. Mr. Naradi, I know you want us to talk about the variance height, but I didn't think something about the cost benefits. First, I want to begin by the gentleman from Stanell saying that they got a negative declaration. I want it to go on public that the planning board sold us out. And the reason I say that, when this project came to the board, Rosanos told them it's not business as usual. The residents didn't know about the first project. So that project in itself, let them build that, even though it has an effect. And the reason I want to say that, RDM 7 was 2 miles down the road. I've also read a very nice report saying how it's going to affect the residents. So I don't see how giving Amazon this variance and letting them build will not have a negative effect. The other thing I want to say is on the traffic. I live on Capital Road. Try making a turn on Route 6 off of Capital Road. And I do not know, whatever anybody tells me, that this will not have an effect. My son is picked up. The bus lady has to wait to make a turn on Route 6. That's the only route to Ministry School District. So there's nothing you can tell me on paper to convince me that this will not have an effect. Lastly, I want to say, you started by saying like this is a call. Richard, I'm asking you to do the right thing. And by doing the right thing, is just don't give them the variance. We just amended our rules to go to 65 feet.
We like to think that we always do the right thing.
I'm sure you do. But we just turned our height to 65 feet for a reason. We need to maintain the character of our community. So if they want to build, let them build what they have. Again, as the gentleman just said, this is a self-inflicted hardship. They don't deserve this from us because the benefits, what the residents, you're asking us to sacrifice for you guys to come into our town and build, outweigh anything that you're bringing to us. And I know there are gonna be jobs. The guys need jobs, I get it. But after 2 years, they're gone. Then we're stuck with a warehouse. And I guarantee you, this is gonna be a gateway to more. We have 65 feet, let's stick to that. Let the homes be built, or whoever wants to build, stick to our height. And if you wanna build what you have, build. But I can tell you, it's a scam. Thank you.
Leslie Haynes.
I will try to amend this a little to stick with everything you requested. The residents of this town clearly care about future development. And yes, we know there will be future development. But I believe most people support the town's long-range comprehensive plan to keep the character and quality of life here as we move forward. Granting of this height variance would not benefit our community and would bring huge negative effects. I just have to point out that there's many different numbers being thrown out, and I'm very confused about the amount of cars. I've been told 750 employees per shift, 2 times a day. The planning board was told that, and 500, give or take, 570 trucks, and all operating 24/7. Yes, there are the shifts, which was brought up, that could be negatively impact our commuters, our students, and everything. So I figured out a tractor trailer at that number would be coming and going every 23 minutes. Every few minutes, a passenger vehicle would be coming and going from just this facility. The balloon demonstration was for 1 day. And then somebody explained to me that the height of this building is actually the same height as CPV, only 9 feet high, lower. So if you want to get a visual, without the smokestacks. So if you want to get a visual of the building, that's how tall it is. I did research one day. I called all the neighboring towns and I asked what their height limit was. I called Montgomery, Wallkill, Middletown, Greenville, Deer Park, Minnesink, and Goshen. And not a place had it higher than 55 feet on average. So we're already higher than any of the towns around that I could find. And yet we want to make another exception, or they want us to make another exception. It almost doubling the height. And this is coming from a company that really is not showing concern for our community. The ambulance is an OSHA requirement, just want to say. They're also asking for exorbitant tax credits, and we'll probably bring in workers from other areas other than Wawayanda. We don't want to turn this area into a Lehigh Valley or Long Island City, Jersey City. And I'm afraid if the zoning board grants this variance, that other warehouses will come and ask for the same thing, and how is that handled? I know we can find better opportunities for Wawayanda and its citizens and children in our future. We need to be creative and not just do this one-trick pony show of these warehouses that come in and then change the height of what they want. Just look at Montgomery with 20 warehouses and how the pilot impact breaks do not benefit a community.
Alicia Albertson.
Hi, I'm Alicia Albertson at 125 Kirbytown Road. I again am against having the height variance. I agree they came here looking to build, they knew the height restrictions. If they wanted a slight height variance, possibly, but this is almost doubling what it is. You know, as far as what they're going to do for the town, especially with the pilot program, which is intended to stimulate the economic development, but it's gonna negatively impact our residents. It's gonna shift the burden of funding for local services, including schools, onto homeowners. It's gonna lead to increased property taxes for existing residents, reduced funding for the schools, and potentially slower the economic growth in the long run. The traffic is going to put our roads at risk. They're gonna need constant repair. They're not made for tractor trailers. And again, the residents are gonna get the impact of trying to pay for that as well. And it isn't just about the traffic that they're going to put on. They didn't take the traffic from the other warehouses in consideration, so it's even going to be worse than what they're saying. Now, I know that at the planning board last night, they asked for a variance as far as their working to go to 7 p.m. So their employees, when they went to build this, would not get stuck in traffic. So, I mean, if they're worried about their employees getting stuck in traffic, how about the traffic of everybody else that's on the roads? As far as the ambulance, Amazon needs an ambulance because of OSHA. As far as the pilot program, it didn't work in Montgomery. Their taxes are up 18%. And Amazon needs to be offering more to the community and to its employees. I don't know if anybody saw what their employees were saying in the IDA, but they need to be taking care of their employees as well as the communities that they're trying to build in. So I would ask that you say no to the height variance, and if they still want to come at the rules that are here, then that would be considered. Thank you.
George? Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Amazon seeks a height variance of 104 feet to accommodate robots, not humans. How is this going to help bring in workers, stimulate our economy, and lower our tax burden? They promise us growth, economic growth, but they offer us automation. They promise us lower tax burden, but they will give us more truck traffic on our roads and more strain on our services. This isn't a good deal, it's a raw deal. Now, we've looked at the fact that we had height to 55 and we moved to 65. How is 104 going to help us at this point? Not to mention what that's going to bring in later with other warehouses. So if this is good for our town, why would we have a big rush on it? Developers are pushing warehouse applications to beat the regulation coming into New York State that will strengthen protection for our wetlands in 2025. I feel that they're trying to grandfather all this stuff and get it in before the changes come. Look around you. This town is a farming landscape with rolling hills. Our town plan is supposed to protect that. It's supposed to protect the scenic views and our agricultural soul. This project throws that plan into trash and asks us to become another faceless industrial park. What is this town's comprehensive plan? Are we protecting our natural areas and resources, our wetlands, our water quality? Are we increasing buffering requirements? Are we maintaining the town's character, including scenic view sheds? Or are we creating a faceless industrial park with buildings up to heights of over 100 plus feet and taking away what used to be an agricultural town with beautiful farming landscapes and rolling hills? I believe in bringing in businesses to the town of Wawayanda, but warehouses are not our future, not our character, and is not the best interest of our beloved town. the zoning board possesses the power to stop this project. But you need to be informed of all the facts, and that is what we are laying out, the facts before you, as we did with RDM 7. Despite the planning board's negative declaration suggesting no detrimental effects to our livelihood, we are aware that this is not the case, and that, my friends, is why we are fighting for this. Thank you. Matt, Lee,
Thank you for taking the time to let us speak today. I just want to sit here and state that I feel like that everything that was asked of this gentleman here to do, you know, the height, everything, sound area, pollution, whatever, the testing, he did it all. And I feel like all the complaints now about the height, it's being built in a hole, so I feel like it being higher is not really a detrimental thing. Like, look at Medline on top of the hill, I'm sure it's going to lay higher than the rest of the new Amazon. And I know that people are complaining about the fact that there's going to be a lot of traffic. I get that, but what I see it as is more people coming into the area and stopping. Oh, I'm hungry. Let me go down the street, go to the Bridgeberry store up the hill or something. You know, they're going to be spending money here, a lot of it, and I'm all for that. And I'd rather see people working and getting money rather than staying home and getting free money. You know, so I'm total support of this project. And again, I live 5 minutes away, and even expanding that little throughway where I live, I'm all for that. I just want to see work and I want to see jobs. Thank you.
Tom Coleman.
Hello, Tom Coleman, 68 McVeigh Road. I'm in favor of the variance change. Right now, there's a quarry going, that's there. So it would be a major improvement, putting the building there. From the distance from the road, I don't feel you're gonna see the building that people are talking about. It's so far back, and it would be surrounded by trees and stuff. And the other benefits for the community is all the road improvements that will be helping the cars and commuters get in and around. Without those benefits of improvements, you'll have the same old dirt road, and you'll never, get around. So I'm in favor. I ask you to grant the variance. Thank you.
Jason Kalfak. 164 Ridgeberry Road.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jason Kalfakis. Live right here on Ridgeberry Road. I'm a Minnesota graduate. The planning board announced the assurance of a negative declaration under SECRA, reassuring the community that this project will have no significant adverse environmental impacts, either from height or otherwise. This affirmation lays the groundwork for responsible and thoughtful development, aligning perfectly with core community values. To further underscore the dedication to preserving the area's visual integrity, an illuminating balloon test was conducted at the project site. Balloons were elevated to the maximum proposed height of the structure, and observations revealed that the building would be nearly invisible from key transportation routes, such as Route 6, and virtually undetectable from nearby residential neighborhoods. These findings not only reinforce the conviction that the increased height will not disrupt the visual harmony of this community, but also exemplify the commitment to considerate and conscientious planning. Nestled within an existing mine and situated well below Route 6, the project is approximately 3 football fields away from the roadway. This unique elevation and strategic positioning beautifully conceal this building, further minimizing any potential impact on the landscape. The economic benefits of this project, sparing job creation, increased tax revenue, and booming construction activity, present compelling reasons to embrace this very endeavor. While these advantages may not be directly tied to the building height, they play a vital role in fostering the prosperity and the vitality of this community. In light of these thoughtful considerations, we wholeheartedly encourage the chair to close the public hearing and cast a vote in favor of the variance. I'm a young guy that lives around here, and I would appreciate the job opportunity. I know my brothers and sisters will. I'm with Local 279, and I've traveled for work, and I'm grateful for the work that's close, and I want to build infrastructure and build up this community because I love it just like all of you guys. Thank you.
Chris, Lucetti?
How are you? Chris Lucetti, local resident, proud member of Local 17. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The bloom test and visual simulations validate minimal visibility impact at the distance from the roadways, i.e. 1,000 feet. I ask the board to approve this variance. Thank you for your time.
This is Pamela Malik.
Hey, thank you for holding this hearing. I'm the chair of Protect Orange County. You have the chance to save this town tonight, to change this irreversible industrial trajectory that we're on. And anyone who thinks that a 3.2 million square foot industrial project, 104 feet high, is consistent with the character of this town, one of only 3 remaining ag districts in Orange County, must be blind. Or, I don't know, bought. You can see that building from everywhere. You can see that building from everywhere. You can see it from the top of Ridgeberry Hill, and the balloons were way above the trees. And we have drone footage. You could go on our Facebook page and look at it, and maybe later we can show it to you if you want, but the balloons were towering above the trees. The people who say that it won't change the character or won't be visible in scenic areas, they don't know this community, and they don't know the area. Make the right decision tonight. Return Amazon's 104-foot high package. We didn't order it. They're trying to fool you. They need the ambulance not only for OSHA, but also because they have one of the worst safety records of any company in the country. Do you know what this project really means? Do you realize that it will generate greater pollution than the CPV plant built on bribes? 570 truck trips per day, that's in Scannell's document, not including 2,800 car trips per day. Now, CPV produces 2.1 million pounds of CO2 annually locally. This project, just from the truck traffic, not from the cars, will generate 3.5 million pounds of CO2. and with that comes all the other toxic chemicals, nitrous oxide, particulate matter, etc. And we've gone from a moderate ozone area to a severe ozone area because of CPV. Did you hear the number of residents who testified to the very serious adverse health impacts already from CPV at the DEC hearing? They also plan to use 9.5 megawatts of power. That's enough to power 9,500 homes, which is 3 times the power of all the residents of Wawayanda.
Get back to the
Right.
height, please.
I'm talking about adverse impacts and the fact that the height is related to the enormous power consumption that they need. And I also want to point out that their pilot agreement, they're talking about jobs and community benefits. The cost of these jobs, we did an analysis, would be $178,000.
Time's up.
Okay.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Not winner?
My name is Dot Winter. I live on the corner of Ridgebury Road and Heselton Drive. I've lived in this community since 1976, 49 years. And I am completely opposed to giving a variance to Amazon for this horrible warehouse. I also am very upset with the negative declaration made by the town planning board, that this robotic warehouse doesn't impact our environment or anything else. It will impact our air quality, our water, our infrastructure, the noise in the community, the pollution in the community, the increase in electric energy use, the traffic, and definitely our quality of life. It seems that in the past, the town of Wawayanda has not regarded with respect the taxpayers and residents of the community. They approved a pilot program for Medline, and they moved out after their time was up. They want to approve a pilot program and all kinds of taxpayer benefits for this new warehouse, which will not help at all because that will eventually run out and then they will leave also perhaps or get out of it in some way. I ask you to vote no on the height restriction and to consider all of the impacts that this has on the community, including the health of the residents. A man spoke when we had the other hearing on Tuesday night about the pilot program. He lives somewhere on McBride Road. The trucks are currently going up and down the road, putting dust into the environment. We went up there yesterday and dust blew all over our car. This man is suffering serious health problems right now. He has an infected leg and he has breathing problems. In years past, the town of Wawayanda has disregarded the water problems that we have in this community. We live without sufficient water in our home. We are concerned about the safety of our water. Down behind the town hall, there was dumping going on in the town dump, and Balchem dumped chemicals there.
Let's stick to the height, okay, please.
Well, if you add more height and you get another thing, here you go.
Your time is up. Greg Winter?
Sorry about that. Thank you for being here, and we want you to take serious considerations. First off, looking at the thing they showed up on the board there, let's go back and check the height of each floor. One was, highest point was 23.7. What was the next one? 10.4 or 11 something? And then 10.4, 10.4, and a 10.4. I don't even see that mathematically coming up to 102 square feet. Would you please check and see if I'm right? Could you? Does it show that? I saw their plan, and I've been in construction. Let's put it plainly. I've been very involved. I grew up in a construction family. We used to build homes. My father went into heavy construction. I have worked on some union jobs. And, you know, there will be other work for these people, even if they think this is not going to go through. I think you have to consider if they're telling the truth on the pictures they showed. And I don't think so. I looked at the picture and I said, whoa, here's the car height. What's the height of a car? About 5 feet, maybe 5.5 feet. So it didn't look to me like they were showing pictures for this approval of 102 square feet. Okay, they said 2% more visibility for people on the highway. That probably will be true. I'm not going to argue with that. Somebody's researched that. But I've done planning, I've done designs, I've built buildings, and I worked for Agway. I did a building that was an award-winning building in Goshen. So there's, you know, I believe in construction. I'm not against these guys. I want them to work, of course. But I don't think if the approval doesn't come through that they're going to be in trouble. They think they are, but I don't think so. There will be other projects. They always come along. Construction goes up and it goes down. I can remember that. So I want to thank you for your, you know, for being here to listen to the people speak. Thank you.
Susan Lee.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening. I am totally against the Amazon warehouse. I don't understand who you are to ignore what our forefathers envisioned for a beautiful town the way we are. By giving a substantial height variance to a trillion-dollar company who wants to contribute nothing to our community. We live here because of all the natural beauty, the rolling hills and farmland. It is not an industrial tract wasteland. Briefly, I understand they didn't want to do an environmental impact. We're already choking, breathing the air for CPV, and I really find it hard to believe that this is not going to change. Not to mention the traffic, and as the people in Montgomery said, they're paying more taxes. There is no benefit in it for the town of Cleveland. Just say no.
Is it Dinah C.A.?
Hi, I'm Dina Howard. I live on Heselton Drive. So, you guys brought up everything that I wanted to say, and I want to thank you for that because you're really paying attention to everything. I've lived in Orange County for most of my life, and I can't believe what's going on, especially in Wawayanda. Having this warehouse extensive project in this small community would absolutely have a negative effect to our area. I hear Tito's. I think it's Tito's. I don't know. Something is going on in the back of my yard. I live near Tito's. I have no idea what they're doing. But if I can hear them, I can't imagine what I'm gonna hear if I have all these trucks and cars coming 24/7 down my street. I understand the Amazon warehouse will give people jobs. When it is done in 2 years, those jobs are gone, and they will have to find other jobs. And someone up there said, one of you guys, the same thing that I'm concerned about. People are gonna find alternate routes. They're gonna go down Ridgeberry Road. They're gonna go down Gulf Links Road. They're gonna go by the hospital. Anything to get away from the traffic that is gonna be happening. And that's going to be a bad thing for this community. None of these roads can handle all those trucks and cars. They are already in bad shape, and they're not in good shape at all. Once winter comes, the trees will lose their leaves. We will be able to see that warehouse. I can see it from Ridgeberry Road. I could see those trees. So without those trees, it's going to be we're going to see it all. It's going to be awful, and everyone's going to want to move. Back to Amazon. Are they guaranteeing 5-day-a-week jobs for these people? Because from when I've been reading, I hear like 3 days a week. So that's just something to look into as well. Anyway, that's it. I thank you for your time.
Is it Randy or is it 83 Port Road? 83 Post Road? Post Road.
Yes, good evening. My name is Randolph Hurst. I live at 83 Post Road in Sweet Hill. I've been a resident here for over 39 years. I'm here tonight representing the Sierra Club Atlantic Chapter and myself and my fellow townspeople. This board has a responsibility to preserve the zoning and the codes for this town. I'm opposed to the Amazon project. I'm opposed to the height variance. I think that the negative declaration for SECRA it's unbelievable, it's incomprehensible as an environmentalist. And when you add all the pollution, it's already been, people have spoken so eloquently, I won't reiterate what they've said, but emphasize the fact that what they said is true, and I think that this board knows it. I ask you to do take your responsibility seriously, deny this variant request. Amazon is not going to bring any benefit to this town, and it's only going to jeopardize the health and welfare of our children, our seniors, and every resident of this town, and the people who will be working at Amazon. This is not a blessing for the town of Wawayanda. It's a curse. Thank you.
Alice Gyro?
Hi, I'm Alice Gyro. I don't live in this town, but I live in the town of Middletown. And just knowing that this is coming in here, I think that the height variance is wrong for this area. It's a beautiful area. Everything that they want to do is going to impact negatively to this area, which will touch on me also. And with, the pollution and everything, I say no, and I ask you, please, don't let them come here and ruin this area. Thank you.
Forgive me, but Salamondo? Is it?
Thank you for hearing us tonight. Rosemary Solomondo, County Route 12. First and foremost, I disagree with the project. The height is, in my mind, absolutely absurd. I live next to, I guess you could say, a quasi-warehouse, and 24/7 I have noise, day and night, and it's nothing on the scale of what this project will be, nowhere near the height of it, and it's a living hell living next to it. I'm a taxpayer. I've been paying 18 years of taxes in this town, and I do expect, and I'm hopeful that at least the zoning board will continue to do the right thing for the residents, as we got sold out last night by the planning board. So please, just say no. Anyone who would like to is welcome to come and sit in my home and hear the constant noise in addition to ambient noise. And I want to address the traffic situation. The traffic is horrendous on County Route 12 with truck traffic. Day and night, you hear tractor trailer brakes, dun 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 dun. And it sounds funny to some of you, but if you came, I'd welcome to have you stay over in the spare room and see how you can sleep through it. It has been a living nightmare, and I'm here. It's not going to affect me directly. I don't live right near it. I'm here for my fellow residents because I believe in doing the right thing, and I believe in standing up for what's right. And I know this board is a board of integrity. So please, don't disappoint us. I appreciate your time. So just say no.
Is it Casey? AC.
The only thing I have for it is I am opposed to this. My name is about the height variance, and I was just wondering, with the height variance, is there any consideration about the fire department and the equipment that they're going to need in order to reach the 100-foot, 104 foot? Do they have tower ladders, aerial platforms?
I have no idea.
Do we know if, is Amazon going to front the bill for that, or is it going to come out of taxpayers' money for the new trucks, the new training, for the large areas, searches, and everything that they have to do in case there is a problem? What's that? Yeah, I just want to make sure, you know, if this is going to go in with the height, that our town's, you know, ready to handle it and not see somebody get hurt going into something that they're not trained for. You know, are they going to keep it volunteer with the extra stress that's going on, or are they going to end up having to pay somebody?
Sir, put the sign down. Put the sign down. We don't, that's rude, okay?
That's the only thing I had was the fire department dealing with the extra heights and everything with the equipment and the volunteer services that we use now. That's all I had.
Thank you. Paul Sontag.
Paul Sontag, Kirbytown Road. The height variance clearly doesn't fit the character of this town. We don't have anything like this project in our town, so if we don't have anything like this, I don't know how it fits our character. There were questions about road maintenance. I work in Montgomery where there is an Amazon warehouse, and there's potholes everywhere. They're massive potholes due to the truck traffic. So what's happening there is going to happen here. And they may be doing some stuff for the roads, but then the taxpayers are going to have to maintain the roads. So they may build the infrastructure, but we're going to have to pay for it over the long term. I'm also concerned if this height variance is granted, what happens in the future with other projects. If you give this project a variance of 105 feet, how do you say no to other projects in the future without being accused of biases or discriminations to different projects if you approve this one? So I think this can open up a dangerous situation for future projects in this town. Thank you.
Donna Berry.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Scanell for doing the balloon height demonstration. I felt it showed the proposed warehouse was not as tall as I had feared. The
present landscaping that is along the road helps to hide the building, and the new evergreens will also make it visually appealing. If anyone has been to the planning board meetings over the past year, you will have seen how much the board has been working to make sure this warehouse fits the town's building criteria and has the least amount of negative impact on the town. I know I don't have to remind you that this area is zoned commercial and warehouses are included in that. I, for one, would rather see this warehouse than the present mining operation or the 900,000 square foot warehouse that will be built if this is denied. Please grant the variance. Thank you.
Now, Berger. Don Berger, Montgomery.
Good evening. My name is Don Berger. I'm from Montgomery, New York, and I'm also the chairperson for Residents Protecting Montgomery. We've been through this for over 10 years, and I have to say it started with you guys because we got your Medline project. Right? So that's how we developed into a group. But what I want to say is the reason I'm here is that I was amazed one day. I was watching a live stream from your, I think it was your planning board or this board meeting, and a very prominent member of the Montgomery community came here to Wawayanda to say that these warehouses in Montgomery has had no effect. Well, what I would like to do is invite every one of you board members to come with me, and I'll show you the effects that these warehouses have had on Montgomery. I'll show you Route 211, Route 17K, Route 416, 208, 52, 84, 17, that you can't even travel on. You can't, as a gentleman previous to me, the potholes and the road conditions, we have a saying in our group, they have better roads than Bay Road. That's how bad they are. The thing I want you guys to consider, this is a tough thing, but I don't know why you would even consider a 40-foot variance on a warehouse. It's not even within the scope. But what happens here, and it's happening right now in Montgomery, they gave a height variance to a very popular building. Everybody lauded this building. They wanted this building. That was the food bank. They gave them a height variance, right? But the ZBA couldn't think 2 steps ahead of them. And those 2 steps are this, Mr. Chairman. If you approve this height variance, you just opened up Pandora's box. Because everybody's going to come after you for a height variance in this township. And you're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin this township. So I would say that to Amazon, bring back your plans and modify them, go before the planning board and get it changed. Because it's ridiculous what they're asking for you guys to do. The traffic conditions that you guys have talked about here. In Montgomery, from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you can't even move. It's really bad. And that's not to talk about in the morning, when all the school buses are out there and all that kind of stuff. You can't move. In the village of Montgomery, it's done. It's locked. You're going to get the same here if you allow this project to go through. Bigger buildings, more trucks, more cars. Do you, allow you guys maybe a little bit younger about my age, remember the tractor trailers used to have a sign about the taxes they pay? You don't see those signs in tractor trailers anymore. These warehouses, they come in here and they promise you the world about taxes with road improvements. I heard a gentleman here talk about road improvements. What road improvements? There are no road improvements. Certainly Amazon's not going to improve the roads. The state of New York right now won't improve the roads. All right, thank you.
Sam Prado.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to be probably the shortest guy here. I feel that we should respect the zoning board, like somebody said here. That I know that they did a lot of work on their decision on this project. It did come out with a negative declaration. And again, you know, you gotta respect those guys' time, just like you guys sit here at night. They sat there at night too, they listened to all the both sides of what's been going on. They came up with a decision. So I think we should respect that decision and approve this height variance. And the other thing I would just like to say, and I'm gonna get off real quick, is I'm always amazed because I live near the Amazon in Montgomery too, and I'm seeing a different picture because I can't figure out if anybody works there. I can't find a tractor trailer, and I can't find a car, especially on Route 747, right where the entrance is. You go there, it's empty. So I think you guys' fears are going to come that they're not really as bad as you think. Thank you.
Good evening, thank you for having us here. I heard a lot of stuff. I heard people worried about noise pollution. I heard people say that noise pollution already exists. I heard people talk about the roads are gonna get worse. I heard people say the roads are already worse. I'm not sure where we're going with this. It just seems like no matter which way this project turns, it can't meet the needs that is being asked. My opinion is that they've met every hurdle. They've done everything asked of them. The project is a real project. I heard a lot about Wawayanda is farmland. I get that. That place where they're building, as a kid, as a teenager, I worked on that farm. And if anybody remembers that farm, you want to talk about air pollution? You put your windows up there. All right, you want to talk about road conditions? You had to swerve because of all the manure that was on there from the manure spreaders. And if you weren't doing that, you were dodging the dump trucks that were coming out and trying to avoid a windshield from getting cracked. So these issues that are coming up exist. And like Sammy Fratto just said, when you go down to the Amazon in Montgomery, I'm there at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm by there at noon. I don't have an issue. One red light there, that's it. On-ramp getting in, and I will ask anybody to come down. You want to ride with me with a day? I mean, do roads get backed up occasionally? Yeah. Montgomery will get backed up on the on and off ramp right there, but for the most part, for the amount of volume that they have there, and the warehouses they have there, and the workers they have there, that's not bad traffic. But that's not what we're talking about here in Wawayanda. And it's a strip mine right now. It's not a nice looking piece of property. The building's not going to be that high. I honestly believe when you go down Route 6 and crest over past Perino's, that Menacing School is going to be more of an eye catch than this building will. The balloon tests were done. They showed there was minimal impact. Of course you're going to be able to see a building there. They're building a building. But is it going to be an impact? And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Is the height variance going to create any visual damage or have an environmental impact? And I've heard nothing to change my opinion that it's going to cause that. I've heard stuff off topic. I've heard pilot talk. I didn't know we were talking about the pilot tonight. You know? But as it comes down to just as a zoning issue, I think they've done everything correctly, responsibly, submitted the paperwork, worked with the town, and have done their part. So why are we not going to approve this is my question. What would be the reason not to approve it if they've met all the criteria? It's not their criteria, it's ours, it's the state's. They met the requirements for this project. Allow the project to move forward.
Somebody from Kerhonkson? Charles or something? Last name starts with D. I give out the phone numbers, but I don't know. Call. Okay, Michael Martin.
Good evening. Wish I had a lot more time, but there's a lot of scams going on here. First of all, let's talk about the height scam. The reason that they're making this higher and getting more in there is so that they can reduce the number of docks around the building. It was started out on the other building at 100 docks, and now they're going, I think it's about 55. They use a standard there that I think it's like 8 or 10 trucks a day. But I'm telling you, Amazon, this automation, if you do the math and you do the studies and you look at it, Amazon is going to be putting 20 to 30 trucks per day out through the dock. They're not going to give you a cap because they don't want it. These other warehouses that are going up there are all going to be feeder warehouses. They have a requirement from their suppliers, let's say Fisher Price or Mattel Toys or whatever, they have to replenish within 24 hours. You're going to see trucks running back and forth from all these other RDM and everything, all these warehouses down in Goshen, over there, up along Dulcetown Road. They'll be running to that warehouse back and forth. A lot of them will be coming in short, meaning that that truck will probably have a couple skids on it instead of a full load like it would be if it was coming from out of town. So that's a scam. And you want to talk to me and I'll give you the proof? I will. Also on the traffic, Route 6, they're relying on a study that was done in 2022 was flawed. And the Kirbytown route, just one example, the Kirbytown and Route 6 intersection isn't on that study. You've had accidents there. You've had people killed there. It's not on the study. They're using it. They're being scammed. Okay. You heard about the ambulances? You're going to, based on what I've seen, you're going to have to put in 3 ambulances because they're going to be required for a 5-minute response time to have a paramedic available to any of their workers. When I was at Paper Mills down in Texas, we paid 100% for ambulances. We even put ambulances on our sites just to make sure we had the response time done to meet the OSHA requirements. They're scamming. They're going to give you a garage. You're going to get built in the garage. You're going to need to have 3-4 ambulances full time. All right. As far as the project not being built, they're saying, the developer themselves have said, if this doesn't go on, we're going to build the original project, which is only 65 feet. So that's better. Talk a 65-foot building in that little thing. It's going to be a lot better. And they also have accommodations for rooftop solar, which will add 15 feet that they're not telling you about. But they'll be back here asking for another 15 feet of variance in a couple of years. There's more scams, but if you want to hear about talking.
Michael Sustin.
Good evening, and again, thank you for the courtesy of hearing from the public. The legal standards that govern a zoning board of appeals are 5 in this instance. The first is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby property will be created by the granting of the area variance. There's no doubt that nearby properties will absolutely see a building which contravenes the height which this town determined to be the limit. So it's clear to me that that is an undesirable change. Second, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Well, as Mr. Martin just said, there's another proposal before you which does not include an area variance and defeats the area variance here. Simple logic indicates that if an individual comes before the board with two projects, one which needs a variance and one feasible without one, then it does not itself have any position to ask for a variance. That's the law. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. Well, there's no doubt this is substantial, and legal cases will show you this is plainly substantial. A 40 or 50% variance is always deemed substantial. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood district. The only thing I'll tell you about that is it was clear last night, while there was a negative declaration granted, which was explained earlier, that was done with significant mitigation measures proposed. Those concede that there are significant environmental conditions, adverse conditions created in the neighborhood. For instance, noise. We heard last night there will be noise from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that exceeds the decibel level permitted in the town. If you didn't read it, it's in the record. That's what was stated last night by the applicant. That the decibel level, they start with the 61 ambient, they're over 50. They said that last night. The standard is 50 in the town, they exceed it. So to me, they have no argument with regard to that. 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. Obviously, it's self-created. This is not a situation where they've moved in and they have a problem. It's a situation where they've moved in and they've made a proposal which creates the problem. So if you apply the simple legal analysis, which is repeated in case after case, this applicant, whatever the benefits they believe to the labor unions, etc., does not have a case for a variance. A height variance is inappropriate and it should be denied. The burden, by the way, is on the applicant to demonstrate that an area variance is required, and as I've indicated to you, applying these legal standards, they cannot meet the variance. Now, this is nothing personal, but I'm going to say it. I think there's a significant problem with the same attorney representing the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board on consecutive nights. Thank you.
Carol, S-O-T-I-R.
Soteropoulos. Okay. Almost as difficult to say as Wawayanda. Okay. I'm not from Wawayanda. I'm from Monroe. And I'm here to say that I have many friends here, and it's a beautiful, beautiful town. I feel that we are on a very dangerous path. I've seen what happened in Monroe. It's not a question of industry or of high-density housing. I think everybody knows about Monroe. People have already written off as a town that we just should move away from. And I don't want to see that happen here. I really don't. And I see that in the short term, the short sight for the height variance, to be granted in order that this project can move forward, and it seems that it has all of this momentum and that it can't be stopped. That almost as though I hear this language as though it's almost inevitable. Even somebody on the board, Mr. Post, saying, I'm not looking forward to that. I see a nightmare coming down the road. That doesn't have to happen. I don't want to see that happen here. And I do want to say that I listened to all of this incredible research that the people of this town have done. With Sierra Club Chair and the people here, they presented their research, and I'm sure that you're doing your own. And the last thing I want to say, just very quickly, is that in Monroe, what I saw, what I witnessed, is that things got the way they are because town boards caved. And it's a terrible thing to see. And a lot of times it's about, you have to elect somebody different and, get a different board, etc. I'm very impressed with this board. I've heard you all speak, most of you tonight, and I see that you're very, determined to live up to your obligation. And I ask that you have the courage to say no.
Is it Daniel Ortega or?
Good evening, thank you very much. My name is Daniel Ortega. I am with the Operating Engineers Local 825 Labor Management Fund. Our training center is down the street at 96 Gates Road. I'm here today to, the Labor Management Fund represents the over 8,200 members of the operating engineers and more than 1,000 signatory contractors. We are a dedicated organization to promote economic development and advocate for infrastructure investments in projects just like this one. Our members are highly skilled professionals with extensive experience in crane operation, demolition, paving, environmental remediation, and the construction of heavy highways, water, energy infrastructure. We safely train, and our core values of our organization is heavy construction and education, and ensure that we have the utmost skill and standards. We're here today to express our support for this project, which proposed to redevelop a mine pit between I-84 and Route 6 in the industrial commercial zoning district of this town. This represents a productive reuse of an underutilized lands with significant economic benefits for the local community. The applicant has committed to substantial job creation, at least 300 construction jobs, and a minimum of 750 permanent full benefit positions, along with hundreds of seasonal and part-time roles. For our members and the contractors of 825, we estimate the project will generate more than 70,000 hours of work. That is roughly $8 million worth of wages and benefits during construction. This does not include any of the other trades that are also going to be participated in the project. This project is just more than work for our members. It's a community investment. Our members do not just work here. They live here. They raise their families here too. Approximately 500 of our members are Orange County residents, and just about a dozen of them live here in Wawayanda itself. Our training facility, like I said before, is just 5 minutes from the proposed site, representing a decade-long commitment to the town. We're not outsiders, we're your neighbors. We have a deep investment in the responsible growth that benefits this community. The community that Local 825 calls home. The project improves upon previously approved development by proposing a smaller but taller building that meets the operational needs of the non-user. The project The project would eliminate a disruptive mining operation in favor of a productive job-generating use. For this reason, we respectfully ask the zoning board to swiftly approve the ordinance for this project. Thank you.
Todd DiOrio, President, Hudson Valley Building Construction Trades Council, 29 locals, 7,000 members, and also an international rep with LIUNA. There's many Hudson Valley Building Construction Trade members and laborers live in Menacing Valley. We could have additional speakers, but in essence of time, we've limited many of them. I'm trying to stay within why we are here, the height variance. Unlike some speakers on the variance at hand, the planning board issued a negative deck. The findings confirm no sufficient impact due to height. The balloon test showed no visual impact, which would hurt the community. The site is in an existing mine, actually a little bit of a hole. This hides the building height-wise. And the height variance of 40 feet is some way misleading the way it sits. Even though the building is height, it's a little misleading, the height. Staying within, I guess you're letting us stray a little bit from just the height issue, but I kind of worded it so we're in line. At the height of our peak of the project, over 500 local construction jobs weekly. At the height or peak of the project, over $2 million weekly in wages and benefits. At the height or peak of the project, over $8 million weekly in construction spending. The height of the meeting, I do have to say, was the $651K to fix the 2 potholes. I want that contract when I retire. It's pretty good money. At the height of the Amazon project and the controversy that's here, I've been doing this for 30 years. There's not a lot of residents. There's been a few speakers that are not residents, including myself. There's not a lot of people here for a project of this size that are actually against this project. We asked the board to close the public hearing and vote in favor of the variance. And not sarcasm-wise, I have a relationship with Mr. Sussman here. We don't exactly see eye to eye on things, but don't be intimidated by his lawsuit threats. He's more worth than invite.
Thank you, board chairperson. My name is Matthew Stoddard. I am the business manager of Ironworkers Local 417, and I am requesting that this board tonight passes the variance for the height. With the planning board last night's approval for the neg deck, showing that there was no significant impact, along with the balloon test showing some minimal visibility in some areas not, and some areas a little bit more. We know that this project is better than what is there now, the rock quarry. We know this. We know that this project is
gonna bring in more revenue than the project that is there right now. We know this. We know this project is gonna bring us hundreds and hundreds of union local labor on these jobs, fueling this economy. We know this project is going to bring 700 to 750 permanent jobs. We know all this. Now, we feel that this project is not only good for Wawayanda, we believe it's good for the County of Orange, and we believe it's good for the whole Hudson Valley region. Now, these nice people, these residents that live here, I get it. I understand that. I understand what their complaints are, and I understand that the whole concept of not in my backyard. But take them out of the equation, and the biggest fight you have, taking them out of that equation for the people opposing this project, that's all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm saying. Take them out. And then you have two politicians that are, one in office, one running for office, that are making the biggest complaints and making the biggest noise. Let's not fall down that same path that down in New York, where AOC, Alexander Cortez, chased the project away. All I'm saying
Hit the gavel!
Sir, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I say hit the gavel, this is
Going out.
bullshit.
Going out.
Hit the gavel.
Please. Okay, and sir, I couldn't hear you, so I'm sorry with all this.
That's what I'm saying, is stick to the height.
All right, so with the height.
I've asked everybody, and I try to be patient, we're asking the area variance criteria. What supports the people who want the height and the people who don't want the height? That's what I want, okay?
Well, everything up to my last statement means supports the height, which would bring all them things that I just said, would bring to this job. I just hope that we don't make a mistake and let something this good for the whole area of the Hudson Valley region to leave us. This was not my thing. Thank you, and I apologize for getting off the subject a little bit.
Jason Rosdowski.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jason Browsdowski. I'm a member of Local 825 Operating Engineers. I hear a lot of people out here getting a lot of emotionals out there on why they don't support it, why they support it. But supporting a height variance shouldn't be emotional. It should be well thought out. Why are you doing it? So the way they're projecting this, that the building's going to be a lot lower in the ground, the height variance shouldn't make a difference. Yes, you're going to have road impacts, you're going to have this impact, but infrastructure is going to happen no matter what. You know, it's going to happen. I was a long-time Tower Walk Hill resident, and it blew up quick. My father was a long-time resident when 211 was a single-lane road. Now look at it. So you got to put a lot of forethought into this and project what you're going to do down the road. I don't think a height variance is that much to ask for what you're trying to do. I'd rather see it go up than make a bigger footprint, because you're going to put a bigger impact environmentally with a bigger footprint of a building. So I'm in favor of the project, and thank you for your time.
Sorry, I'm short. I live in the town of Greenville, and everybody's been saying, oh, well, the traffic will be from 17 on 6. What about Pennsylvania, New Jersey people? They're still going to be looking for jobs here. But I come here because right from your comprehensive plan, Catlin Creek drains the central portion of the town. It's a tributary to Rutgers Creek, which forms the town's southern boundary with the town of Minnesing, before draining into the Walpole River. You talked about how many people working there. Plus you've got truck drivers. How many flushes per day is that going to be putting into the system? okay? It's on a sand and gravel pit. The aquifers may be there. However, again, from your comprehensive plan, these aquifers can often supply individual homes or small commercial needs, but are less dependable for large industrial or municipal supplies. Bedrock aquifers in Orange County generally produce between 5 and 30 gallons per minute. That's all I have to say.
Chris McCraden.
Good evening. Thank you to the board for taking time to hear all of us tonight. My name is Chris McCracken. Work for Advanced Testing. We're based in Campbell Hall. We're here to support the height variance, and we're here to do so because many of the factors that are stated to stay on task. It's in a mine site. It's been shown through the renderings and the balloon tests that the height, although higher than the allowable current height, is not as high as a building would seem because of the location, making it logical to ask for the variance. It's not going to have the same height visual simulation. It was built at the same elevation as surrounding roads with the surrounding buildings. They conducted the balloon tests. They showed renderings, and they met all the requests of the planning board during SECRA related to showing the impact of the height would have on the surrounding area. With that in mind, and following the neg deck, we ask the board to close the public hearing and grant height variance.
Steve Gross.
Good evening, Chairman. My name is Steve Gross. I'm a lifelong Orange County resident, 20-year Minisink Valley taxpayer, and the Orange County Director of Economic Development. I drive by this site every day, and there's not a better site for this project. It's surrounded by an interstate on one side, Route 6 on the other, New York State Road. The site sits below grade of the roadways, helping to conceal the height of the building. A ton of work has been done put into this review process, including balloon tests to demonstrate the height of the building, or actually the height of the stairwells as they are a bit taller, as was noted. These tests concluded there would not be a major visual impact. As a result of a thorough review from the town planning board, negative declaration was issued under SECRA, meaning their review shows no significant environmental impacts, and that includes the height variance you are now voting on this evening. It appears the applicant has satisfied its burden, entitling it to the height variance as requested. Thank you for your consideration.
Connor Eckers.
Good evening. My name is Connor Eckert. I'm the president and CEO of the Orange County Partnership. We're an economic development group. And I'm here tonight to speak in support of this project and the requested variance.
You're
And
talking about the height, though, right?
the height variance, yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, sir, indeed. So, projects like this don't come around often. $600 million investment, hundreds of jobs, significant new revenues to the communities, and with respect to the height, if I may, sir, last night, the planning board, after months of deliberation and intense study, have issued a negative declaration. And that was public meeting of professional studies, visual assessments. The planning board issued this negative declaration, and that finding confirms that they see no adverse environmental impacts, including the height. In addition, the balloon test was commissioned, requested and commissioned. And to validate the visual impact simulations, that balloon test was put up, right? And these balloons were raised to the maximum heights of the structure. And again, I think those observations confirmed that the structure would be minimally visible from main arteries in the community, not rising to the level of significance that I think many folks hear when you hear a 100-foot building. But that speaks to the position of the site. It's an existing heavy industrial site of mine well below Route 6, the grade. And that's strategic.
It's 1,200 feet from Route 6. It's in the mine. And I think for those reasons, these unique topographic features of the site, you have this natural visual buffer in addition to the landscaping, the robust landscaping that Skinell Properties and Amazon will invest in the site. You have the natural features in addition to being 3 football fields away from the main highway artery. I often think a lot about the future. I'm a young man. I recently married. I met my wife in Orange County, in high school, in fact. And doing economic development here is a privilege, and a project like this doesn't come around often. And when you look at the height features, when you look at the site context, when you look at the 10 to 12, $14 million in off-site mitigation with respect to traffic, the fact that water is coming from the city of Middletown, the fact that there's potential workforce benefits for folks who work at this facility, and additionally, again, I think the studies, the balloon test, the negative declaration give us a basis to grant this variance, and I respectfully request, and this is a heavy situation, and we certainly, everyone in this room respects the position you're in, but the future is important. It's important to many of us, and I respectfully request that you close this hearing and you grant the variance so we can advance economic development, we can put local men and women to work, and we can be a catalyst for growth in this market. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Anne Marie Pendleton.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Pendleton. I'm a Middletown resident, but I live in the NX land that was treated for Middletown water. You just said it. I know there's not enough of that for this project. It's relevant to the height variance. I will be speaking on the criteria of whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. My family has lived in Orange County for generations. My dad's cousin is Wendell Tripp, who was the mayor of Cooperstown and a New York State historian. And I say that because I do really believe that this will change the characteristics of the neighborhood and the surrounding area. Where I live in Southgate, I'm surrounded by the roads in the traffic study, and already trucks are cutting through our complex, which I think is dangerous. There's speed bumps there that can cause problems for trucks, and our children stand on these roads for the school buses in both Minnesink and Middletown districts. There are no sidewalks, and these are the roads that are in the study where the cars and trucks will be. The turning lane, they're adding a turning lane but not expanding Route 6, so I think there'll be a bottleneck, and I have concern about how I'll even get home, how people from this area will even get to Middletown to do their daily, get daily necessities, because I believe that Middletown is where you have to be grocery shopping and those things. I live next to assisted living and senior housing facilities, so it will change the characteristic and safety of our community. In terms of the height, what's the cost benefit for safety? What has to, if it's on a sand and gravel pit, what has to be done to ensure the stability is supported with that increased height? I grew up in a mining community, and I have concern for the workers' safety as well, and who is responsible for if they have adverse effects on their health. I have many friends who had cancers in their 20s and 30s, and I've shown respect to everyone in the room, so I show respect to board members when I'm here as well. I have concern about, will there be specialized equipment to maintain the roof and building at this height, and who is responsible for monitoring and paying for repairs, and who holds whoever's accountable for that actually happening. I really want to thank this board. I think you have shown impartiality. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments that you did make about the pilot. You are the first people I heard using actual numbers instead of saying right now the site's not really used and so we're going to get more taxes with the pilot. I appreciate that you had those actual numbers of the revenue that Amazon could bring in and how that could actually benefit the community more. So I think the trade of a height variance, I think there's a lot of asks coming from this project, and I some of the wording that I heard I think is exploitative from the union workers that I heard speak, who I believe, I agree jobs would be helpful, but I'm just wondering if Orange County Partnership and
which an undesirable change will be credited in the character of the neighborhood, which is right now beautiful countryside. Here's a question. How long does it take for an evergreen tree to go 100 feet tall? I bet it's a long time. In the fall, I showed the planning board pictures of warehouses I saw on the trip to Canada. They had varying types and sizes of trees. There's no way to hide a building this size. There's no way to hide a building this size behind trees. You said there could be 250 trucks per day. Environmental defense studies from 2023 have found proximity to trucks matters when it comes to harmful air pollution. Nitrous oxide emissions are largely due to trucks, and air pollution from diesel trucks causes harm at all stages of life. I won't plan to stay here when I'm older because I don't want to live near something like this. I'll show the board some of the pictures of them.
What are you trying to show us?
She's showing pictures of the trees covering these food warehouses in Canada.
Canada.
And saying that you don't because the height is so high of these warehouses, the trees aren't good that.
Selectman Johnson.
You said Sophia Johnson?
Yes.
I didn't know I signed to speak, but I'll speak. My name is speak. I signed because I live near close. I'm Sophia Johnson, local 279 Carpenter. You know, as you can see on the freeway, I think it brings more jobs to the community. And you're talking about, it'll bring revenue. You got a local store. All of us going to the store. You know, it's about just bringing more into the community. I'm 5 minutes away. I'm not Wawayanda, I'm Middletown. You know, and it's just giving us
You gotta
work,
talk about the height, please.
the height variance. Just like they're saying, you know, there's trees. It's going to be covered. It's low. It's dug low. So it's going to be covered. It's near the highway. And you're talking about traffic. I go down Kirby Town Road all the time. Like, it's the same. That's what I want to say. It's going to bring jobs more to people.
Scott Perry.
Hi, my name's Scott Perry. I live in Goshen, and I own a business in Goshen. So I'll stick to just the height. So why does it need to be taller? Well, warehouses are taller now than they used to be. Used to be, you know, a forklift could go up 6 or 8 feet, and you had sprawling warehouses. They came out with better forklifts, and then they went up a couple levels. But now they have automation and robotics. And even though they're going to employ 700 people, that allows you to more efficiently run a warehouse if it's taller. You can do that. And the schools, the colleges, the technical schools keep talking about robotics and automation, and kids need to learn this because that's the future. So someone wants to build something utilizing robotics and automation, and you know, well, let's not do it here. And then we say, well, why are all our kids moving away and they work somewhere else? I understand they're asking for a variance, and I think you have to weigh and consider everything, and I hope you do. And I hope you see that the benefits outweigh any of the negatives. And I hope you grant them their variance. And I thank you for your time.
Alicia Robinson. Was it? No?
Hi, Alicia Robinson here. I live on County Route 1 on a farm, and I'm here tonight because I think that this project is short-sighted, and I think that, you know, you as a board have the intelligence and the evidence as presented here tonight that granting a height variance to Amazon is just going to bring problems down the road. I think that it should be a time to kind of push back against Amazon. We've already gotten, you know, the warehouse is coming. We might as well set some boundaries with this company. Yeah, the height variance exception is impactful because it shows that billionaire companies like Amazon, that this town is for sale and that they can get whatever they want. So I don't think that Amazon cares about Wawayanda or the land or the people here. Going back to the area variance criteria, as believe it was Mr. Sussman said tonight, there's 5 different criteria that the board should be considering with regards to whether the height variance should be granted or denied, and it seems to me like all 5 of these points, they don't warrant this variance being granted. 40 to 50% of the variance for the height that they're asking for that's substantial. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I think that that this is a short-sighted project and for the town, and I think that it would be beneficial to the community to think ahead and see that this warehouse is going to bring the town down into a slippery slope of development and environmental disaster in the area. And I just think that we should just try to see forward into the future as much as possible and not kind of get caught up in the contracts and the money that feels like it's fast and it's here now, but that this is a town and a community that deserves protection down the road and for the kids who are growing up here. And yeah, thank you very much.
Steve off.
Steve Hi, my name is Steve Hunter. Like people here, yes, I'm a nursing graduate. I've lived in Slate Hill since October 10th, 1966. I'm against the height variance for a couple of reasons. One, this is the 3rd request for an increase in the height variance. What's to stop them from getting partly through and asking for another height variance? Number 2, they talk about the balloon test. Well, the balloon test was nice, but nobody did a balloon test at night with lights. I'm retired law enforcement, 104-foot building, 105-foot building. You got to light it up at night for safety, for security, and for law enforcement patrolling to make sure there's no robberies or break-ins or kids doing stupid stuff with vandalism. Number 3, the more height you add to it, the more weight the building adds to it with building materials. Now, Mr. Fitzpatrick has been blasting that site for a number of years. You cannot tell me that that bedrock and the sediment has not got fractures and faults and everything else. And you start putting a very heavy building up there, that's not going to sink, crack, break, and eventually have the foundation fall. Not taking anything away from union laborers or anything like that, but when you build a swimming pool, especially in ground, you generally have to wait a year after you excavated all the ground so the ground settles. So then you can put pavers on it or your cement sidewalks, whatever you want to do. And as I said, that's going to be like a mini moon at night, or mini sun when you have to light that up at night. And in the remaining time I have left, a couple of the union bosses had said some stuff, like the one gentleman said, there's not a lot of residents here. Well, one reason there's not a lot of residents is there's quite a few residents in this town, such as myself, that are law enforcement, first responders. It's tough for nurses and doctors and correction officers and sheriffs and state police to get time off for weddings, funerals, and graduations, let alone to come and speak at this. Number 2, they talk about jobs and the benefit to the town. Yep, the union guys will have their job, and that's great. They have everything, but once this job is said and done, there's not going to be anything that's going to benefit us because it's all robots. Robots aren't going to buy gas. Robots aren't going to buy food. Robots aren't going to buy anything to drink. Gee, thank you. And also, as far as the other benefit to the community, supposedly, it was said at the IDA by the partnership that they're going to pay $68 million for the school taxes over 20 years. It's not even $3 million a year, and the budget is $123 million as it stands. $3 million and $123 doesn't make up for anything. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, people.
I got one more, please. Local resident. Thank you.
personal life.
I am a long time. I've been in Orange County forever. I've been in Wawayanda on Guinea Hill since '89. Allen's. I know with balancing test, my opinion means zero, but I can try to give you some facts to change your opinion, because in this, your personal opinion, as long as it's backed up with facts, holds up in appeals of denials. That's been shown in several law cases. But anyway, we'll go to our top 10, not 5. Which is the top 5. Thank you very much, though. Whether or undesirable change will be produced in character of the neighborhood. Yes, I believe the variance affects that, because the building that was previously there had 5% of its trucks going in that direction, and now with this new Bluebird, it's saying that 10% of their trucks are going to be heading west. They're going to be heading west through Slate Hill, which the homes are 5 feet from the road, and no trucks go through there now. So to me, that's changing the character of this town. That's one thing. Whether it's a negative impact or not, it changes the character by all these trucks. 40% of their cars are heading west out of the plant. Now, if you live anywhere near Fort Jervis, you're getting on 84 already. If you're in Greenville, you're getting on 84. So they're saying 40% of their employees are driving by your house, my house, in order to get there to work. And a traffic study that obviously doesn't work, because they keep trying to send people west. All the trucks leaving the facility are going to other Amazon facilities. There is no Amazon facility Wednesday, west. Okay, what do we got? Can we benefit a chief from some other mess? Yes, you can. You have a already approved building there that is also bringing water across 84, sewer across 84. It doesn't need an extra power station. They've already got it. Open-R provides them enough. So that change brings the power station and everything else. Is there something else? Yes, you can put up a building that was approved for there, and it won't give all that. Okay, whether proposed variance will have an adverse effect on impact. Okay, wait, is it? Yes, almost 40% is a huge variance. If I was asking for pigs, you wouldn't let me put them on less than 3 acres, because I'm supposed to have 5. And once you do that, you set a precedent for other things that might not be as easily hidden. Okay, the building will be built at 543 feet. Hoops Road is 540 feet. Route 6 is 540 feet. So everybody saying that it's being built in a hole has been misled, because the base of the building is at 543, which again, level with Hoops Road. The renditions don't show that. They don't show you any of the things. The railroad bed stays at 510 or whatever. They go at that clock. No, they go down into the base. I understand that. I'm going to talk to this guy.
No.
I tend to get a little excited sometimes.
Thank you very much, people.
Thank you very much.
Hearing closed. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion that this variance be denied.
We got a second?
No, second. Wait a second. Motion made. Excuse me. Mr. Brody? Mr. Spiak? Mr. Post?
Aye.
Chairman Honorati?
Aye. Variance denied.